right, so in an official welcome to this free masterclass, Ending Trauma Brain. Anybody who's dealt with trauma knows what that means. It's a place that you get stuck with a bunch of, uncomfortable things. So I'm really excited to teach this workshop. Ending Trauma Brain is how to heal your brain from trauma so you never feel stuck again. And who this is for, I'm going to introduce the course, and then I'm going to pull up the whiteboard so you're not missing anything. I don't have any slides. I usually get asked that. I'm just going to introduce the course so you have some background, and then we're going to pull up the whiteboard and really dive in. And I want you guys to be prepared as you watch, participate, or for those who are watching the recording, to really pull out a pen and a paper, and do this work with us so that you actually get the results. If you listen to this as just one more informative thing, it's going to go one ear and out the other. We'll talk about how and why that happens. But if you really work to put it on the court in your life and do the exercises with us, you really are going to walk away seeing, your past, your present, your future, circumstances, your symptoms, your mind, your body, totally different. So this is for people who have experienced trauma in their life and are still dealing with post-trauma pain. I get asked a lot, by people who are maybe dealing with health issues, or they don't think that maybe their trauma has been that bad. Well, what do you mean by trauma? And really it's any event in which you are out of control. It's an uncomfortable event where you had to survive, that impacted you in some way. And the level to which your brain and your body think it's traumatic is the level of out of control with which you experience. So there's very mild things that could cause a lot of post-traumatic issues for people, and there's very traumatic things that people totally recover from. So wherever you're at is perfect, it's valid, it's real, and what we're here to do is solve the actual problems, the root cause of the problems that you guys are dealing with. So a lot of the problems that we work with, and just take an inventory to see if this is you. A lot of people that we work with come to us because they notice they're triggered very easily, and whether that means they, lose their temper quick, or they get angry, or they have outbursts, or they get overwhelmed easily, or they're easily anxious or stressed or overwhelmed. We hear people, they feel like they're in constant burnout. We work with a lot of people who struggle, with eating, to cope, or alcohol to cope, or other things to cope. And a lot of the people that we work with have chronic health issues and fatigue, and usually there's a bit of a mystery to it. It's not something that the doctors really have a solution for, other than, oh, it's stress, or, oh, it's in your head, or, oh, eat right and exercise, but those aren't working. So that's who we work with. And this course is centered around beliefs. So I am going to give a background on that. I know we've got some new people that this concept is new. What do we mean by beliefs, and how is it a root cause of trauma brain and the symptoms that we experience post-trauma? But these are the common beliefs that, people, or experiences that people report before they work with us and before they get these resolved. So I just want you guys to take an inventory to see if this is you. And you might even take a tally. You might even count how many. And I'll check in with you guys and see, like, how many of these experiences have you related to in your life, or do you currently struggle with? So, and these are all, I actually pulled this list together of the people that we've recently worked with. The people that report these things are gone. And so it's a very real thing. Most people say they don't feel safe. Either they don't feel safe when they know there's no danger, and that's why they think that's a problem, or they know they're not safe because they continually create and find themselves in abusive relationships or in circumstances that are triggering, that aren't healthy, and that don't feel safe. They can't trust anyone. Something bad will happen. I'm hopeless. No one cares about me. I don't matter. My needs don't matter, or my needs aren't important, or my needs aren't a priority. I feel unappreciated and disrespected. I have to work hard to be loved. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel competent. I don't feel good enough. I feel less than. I feel broken. I feel shameful. I feel selfish for having wants or needs. I feel selfish wanting to receive instead of to always give. I'm afraid of being abandoned, and I'll have to always do it all by myself. Everything's against me. Something always goes wrong. I can't do it right. I can't get where I want to go. I'm different. I'm fat, I'm ugly, or I'm weird. Something's wrong with me. This is reality, and I'm stuck with it. Life is hard. So there's more, but those are some of the top ones. So just a tally. How many did you guys resonate with? Good. I think I've had all those thoughts in the past year and a half. Good honesty. Very good honesty. So how many of those? Me. Yes, most of them. Good honesty. And if any weren't mentioned, what are those beliefs or those fears or that trauma brain? What is that to you? Do you identify with what I've said, or is there anything new? Is there anything that we missed? You're welcome. Good. We had another girl get back in the room. Okay, great. So what this course is about today is how to uncover the exact core beliefs that need switched in any trigger or situation or circumstance or time in life. Also, in this class, we're going to be bringing conscious, the subconscious stuff, the stuff that's been hidden from your view, that's been running the show, and transforming the emotions and the thoughts and the patterns that these core beliefs create. You're going to discover what your almost certain future is, and you're going to create a new future through a new way of being now. You're also going to see crystal clear why it doesn't matter what happened to you in the past or how bad things are now, that you actually have a blank slate to create your life, and anything really is possible for you. So I have a couple house rules, and I am going to describe very clearly what I mean by what I just said, because that's some new language for some people. But I want to review some of our house rules. Okay, so number one, there's no positive thinking or hope here. That may sound weird, but you'll hear me say it a lot if you start watching a lot of my courses. There is no hope. There's no hope. And what we mean by that is, if you have to hope, I hope it gets better. I hope this works. I hope over time something will resolve. I hope whatever it is. On the other side of that is that you don't have the results you need right now, right? And that you're not absolutely certain on what the root cause is for the problems you're experiencing. And you're not completely certain on how you're going to address those root causes to get a permanent solution. So this is not like motivational. I am not a motivational speaker. I do not want you to feel better from what I'm saying, and then 3 days later it wears off. That doesn't work. Okay, so this is not positive thinking or hope. By the way, if you guys have any questions on anything that comes up, whether you're live with me or you're watching the recording, just immediately type it into the chat box, and I'll make sure to check questions frequently and get back to you. Okay, second rule. There are no pats on the backs or poor you for surviving trauma. We do not subscribe to the conventional model of working with trauma. Why? Because we've looked at the statistics. And the statistics inside of conventional trauma is that 100% of people always suffer from some symptoms post-trauma. And that's not good enough for us. So this is about you actually getting your life back. This is about you getting back in the driver's seat, getting your power back, getting yourself back, getting that transformation that, has you feel whole from the inside out, not intellectually, but really experience it. Number 3, neither my results nor my clients' results are ordinary. The people you're going to hear about, the processes you're going to hear about are extraordinary, and extraordinary individuals do this work. They do the hard work. They take 100% responsibility for their life and their future. They do not settle for less than what they want and deserve in life. They have earned their results. So today I'm here to share with you, and your success or lack thereof is up to you. Okay? So I want to set you up to listen to this course so that you can succeed. As I mentioned before, if you listen to this course like it's information, like it's more information, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. It's not going to make a difference in your life. So when you listen to these courses, it's very important to have transformative learning, which is where you map on, you apply everything I'm saying. You're looking actively, what can I see newly? What can I see in myself? How does this apply to me? You want to make a new discovery, because when you map it on and you see something new for yourself that you've never seen before, that actually changes the subconscious part of your brain. It starts rewiring your brain, and you can't unsee something that you've seen newly. So a good example of this is, I could tell you all day long how to ride a bicycle. It makes sense. You understand the principles. You could teach a class on it. You understand gravity, how the pedals work, how to balance. You've watched people do it, right? That's information, right? It's not going to teach you how to ride a bike. Transformative learning is when you get on the bike and by golly, oh my, aha, you've got it. Now, it's so interesting because with transformative learning, you can't unlearn. So riding a bike is the same way. You can't ever forget how to ride a bike. You have balance. You have how to ride a bike as part of your life from the inside out. And that's the same with this work. When there's true healing to post-trauma issues, it's like you learned how to ride a bike and you have that new healed experience on the inside of you. You can't deny it. You can't unsee it. You can't feel different. You can't regress. It's like a permanent shift when you discover something that new. So let me check in and see if there's any questions before we keep going. Okay, good. So Jennifer, I'm looking at introducing you to the course and some principles, and then we're going to pull up the whiteboard. So I don't have any slides. I'm not visible right now. I might pop on later if I need to do some funky demonstrations or anything. But right now I just want you to listen and map on what I'm saying so you're not missing anything. All right, so the good news about all these problems that we're talking about, all these thoughts, all these emotions, all these problems, emotional eating, coping, triggers, stress, being overwhelmed, being on burnout, having flashbacks, not being able to feel like yourself, not being able to move on, not being able to show up and be fully present with your kids and your loved ones, right? There's so many impacts to trauma. I have good news. None of those are the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't addressed the root cause, which we're going to talk about today, that's actually creating ongoingly those symptoms in your brain and in your body. Okay, so once you address the root cause, here's what's on the other side of that. You will find that the emotional pain of the past is gone. You will see the past, you will see the present, you will see circumstances in your life and even future opportunities completely different. It's like you were colorblind and now you can see colors. You will have a whole new experience of your life. Because you won't have to spend energy on your triggers or recovering from your triggers, you will spend your time and energy being proud of your performance and how you're accomplishing your goals, having fun and connecting with your family, taking care of yourself and making yourself a priority so that you can always show up looking and feeling your best. You will experience intimacy and love in your relationships and a deep satisfaction and joy in your life. You will never feel stuck again. So every challenge in life will only make you feel more strong, more confident, more powerful, and more free. Every area of your life will work together to support you so you can sleep well, and you will also wake up excited to live your life. You'll remember your dreams and goals and the difference that you want to make in the world and in those around you, and then you'll just go do that every day. You'll know yourself as the source of your life, the one in the driver's seat, and you will love breaking the limits on how far and how fast you thought you could go. What's next? What's more? What do I want to create now? So that means whatever's on your bucket list, that's what you get to go live in your life. So let me share a little bit about who I am, and then we're diving into the course itself. So I specialize in post-trauma healing. I've worked with over 6,000 individuals now in the last 10, going on 11 years next month, to become symptom-free after trauma. I've worked with individuals worldwide. I'm the leading expert in the trauma therapies that we use and teach. I train and mentor counselors, therapists, and coaches in trauma healing, and I get referrals from all over the world for individuals that no one else can help. So we are when everyone else is stuck and no one can make sense and no one can get results, we're who they come to. Whether that's the professionals are stuck in a certain case, or whether that's the clients or the patients that they are working with. All right, so anything, one more quick check-in, anything before we dive in to the course itself? And everybody should be able to see my whiteboard, so just let me know if you can't. Whoops, and I'm just moving you guys over here so I can type. Okay. So some of you have done previous courses with me before. Let me see a quick tally of hands who are totally new to this work, my courses, my videos. Who is this completely new for? I know we've got some graduates, we've got some people who are enrolling into this work, and we've got some newbies. So I just want to see who is this totally new. Okay, good, Allie, good. And I'm familiar with what you know, so good. David is new, great. Okay, good. So I've got other courses, and I wanna give you context for what we're gonna talk about today. So for those of you who have heard this before, listen newly, I'm gonna go real fast. For those of you who are new and you're just now experiencing, this is your introduction to this work and what's possible, just sit back and relax and know that I'm going to reference some other courses if you want more information or to go deeper inside of a certain part of what I'm talking about. All right, so here's the fast track version. This circle is your brain, okay? You have two parts of your brain. You have the conscious part of your brain and you have the subconscious part of your brain. These are physical, okay? This is like an anatomy and physiology lesson. Your conscious part of your brain is responsible for your awareness, for emotions, thoughts, your view of life, feelings, right? Your choices, I would say your values, like what you like your morals, right? Like the value system you subscribe to is conscious. A lot of your body sensation is conscious, and that you can feel certain touch and certain things. So that's a pretty good view of what the conscious part of the brain does. Remember, this is a fast track. So the subconscious parts of your brain are responsible for everything else, right? Most of your body function is subconscious, meaning you don't choose to digest, you don't choose to breathe, you don't feel your blood coursing through your veins. We're aware consciously of very little of what the brain takes in. I think there was an article that came out recently where they said, the amount of information that your subconscious brain takes in would fill up a hard drive in like a day or two. So we're not conscious of that. That's all subconscious. So we can hear sounds for miles. We just don't think we can. our brain tracks, all the movement in the building we're in, how many cars drive by, the leaves that fall off the trees. We actually, everything that's going on inside, including the history of every cell in the body. So all of that is subconscious, okay? Our subconscious is also a part of our personality, is subconscious. So it's not like we feel like we choose to be that way. It's just kind of like it shows up. Our perception is subconscious because we just see things how we see them. So I like to say up here, conscious is what I see, think, and feel, right? That's like my whole life, what I see, think, and feel in my whole life. But the perception, right? I don't see that as just my perception, and everyone has their own perception. Okay, triggers, memories, patterns. What else? We'll say belief. We'll just fast track, right? And when we talk about beliefs, a lot of people talk about beliefs, and we use that term uniquely. We use that term uniquely than anybody in the world that I know of. So we actually mean your core subconscious beliefs, and that's what this course is about today. Okay, so just let go of anything you think you know about beliefs or how anybody else has used those. I don't mean nice thoughts. I don't mean nice affirmations. I mean they're actual physical things like programs running, like a computer program that's running in the background, okay? So another thing that's up here, I like to say, is your will, right? Your choices are your will, but the power is down here. So I like to throw that in there because a lot of what most people have tried in order to change their thoughts, their emotions, their behaviors, these post-trauma patterns is willpower. And it doesn't work. And I'll show you why. Okay, so willpower doesn't actually exist unless if your subconscious and your conscious parts of your brain are working together in harmony. Okay, now trauma actually changes stuff down here in the subconscious. So it's not something that you can consciously just try to change. Okay, so how much, I want to hear from you guys, how much of your life do you think you're aware of? How much of your life do you see, think, and feel? How much of your life is driven by the conscious part of your brain, your choices that you make all day long, right? Your values, your body, your awareness on a percentage of 0% to 100%. How much of that is conscious, meaning in your control, in your awareness, something you can choose about. And this is very interactive, so I'm going to make you guys answer. Okay, good. A couple of you know the answer. I want to hear from everybody. How much do you think in your own life do you actually see, think, and feel? How much are you aware of in your own life? How much are you aware of your trauma brain and your triggers? How much are you aware of when you're stressed out and overwhelmed or anxious? Good. I would have guessed 50. Good. It seems too much right now. Good. Yeah, it seems like a lot. It seems like our whole life. So I would say I think I'm aware of most of my life, right? There's a couple things that I don't catch. And when I first did this work, I might, 80 to 90% would be conscious, right? Because it seems like very little would be subconscious. Okay, now I set you guys up to already guess it's the other way around. So good. Your conscious part of your brain is like 7 to 12%. I'm going to say 10. You've heard the phrase, you only use 10% of your brain. Well, they mean consciously. Okay, obviously you use the rest that's there. It's just used in other ways. That means that 90% of what's going on and of your whole life is driven by the subconscious. Another word for that is unconscious. Another way to phrase that is it's hidden from your view. Good, and we've got some comments, but I know that even our choices are a result of subconscious processes. So that's absolutely right. So our subconscious actually drives, not only is it 90% of what's going on, but it actually drives and gives you the rest of your 10%. So you don't see without perception, right? You don't feel without these deeper patterns, triggers, past memories, survival centers of your brain. Okay, is this making sense to you guys? Say yes or no. Good, good, good. Okay, so there's another important part. By the way, if you are really intrigued about this and you want to dive into the different parts of your brain and how to transform them, there's an amazing masterclass I did. It's very long and in-depth and so transformative. If you took that, the Mastering Your Mind, type one-liner of what difference it made for you, and I'll share that with everybody. But it's called Mastering Your Mind. It's in the Facebook group Reclaim Yourself Now. So if you're not a part of that, let me know and I'll give you that link. Mastering Your Mind is fabulous. And it's a course all on the brain and how to transform the different parts. Okay, so here's why. Good, and makes more sense every time I hear it. Good, you guys want to stay engaged with this work and go watch more videos, because you really will your brain will totally open up and you will see things you never seen before. Okay, here's why this matters. Who cares what the conscious versus the subconscious is? It's because there's a filter here. It's called the reticular activating system, the RAS, and it filters everything. All incoming information goes through this filter in the brain, this line. And sorry, I'm wrestling with my my little guy here. Let's see if I can draw a little circle. Okay, nothing gets past this line. It's physical in your brain, okay? And there's this part, this circle, which is your mind, okay? It's a part of your brain that thinks. It judges and analyzes everything. It's your inner critic. It's your survival center. And so information stays in here for about 72 hours while it's being processed. It creates automatic reactions, okay? And then if it's deemed true or relevant, it lets it in, okay? So if something's deemed true or relevant, it sticks. So if that's motivation that you believe to be true or relevant, your brain will let it in and you will see and think and feel like it's true forever just by waking up. Okay, if it's not true or relevant already, it will get kicked out after 72 hours. Do you know why I told you not to listen to this as information? How many of you have done all the motivational things, talk therapy, counseling, prayer, reading books, EMDR, the willpower, the self-control, the diet, the supplements, the New Year's resolutions? I'm getting some laughs. So good, right? How many of you have tried all that year after year after year after year? And you get all up hyped up, maybe some of the time, and it works great, maybe even for a couple weeks, maybe even for a couple months, if you're really lucky, but then you slip back into old patterns, or then you get triggered, or then you fall off the bandwagon, or then something else comes up, or then you get stressed out, and or then you just don't even know what happened, but one day you woke up and don't know how you're so far off track. Okay, good. Some of the comments are all of that. Okay, so that's this mechanism. How many of you also have tried to get rid of something that keeps happening for you, get rid of a nasty pattern, and it keeps coming back again and again and again? You keep trying to, stop, overeating, or stop coping, or, stop binging, or stop checking out to Netflix, or stop whatever it is, right? Or stop being a workaholic, or stop, not taking care of yourself, or I don't know, stop yelling at your kids. Like, I could keep going, right? This is real life. Procrastinating, stop procrastinating. Good suggestion. Good job, guys. By the way, the more you interact, the more you will get out of this course. So this is a conversation. Type in the chat box to me. So yeah, and then you can't. I always love our conversations too. This is my passion, if you can't tell, because I did this work and it saved my life after I tried everything else. Okay, so This inner critic goes, is this right, wrong, true, false, good, bad, right? You know, do I like it? Do I not? How do I figure this out? What does this mean? What does my past tell me about this? How should I survive? How should I stay safe? How should I look good? All the shoulds, all the judgments, all the perfectionism comes from this part of your brain. Okay? Yeah. And one of the comments, interesting you include supplements because those impact body and brain chemistry. Why don't they stick? That's a great question. You will know today why they don't stick. It's not addressing this root cause. It might be addressing some root cause, but unless if you get this root cause that's actually creating the emotions, thoughts, view, perception, awareness, what you see, think, and feel, no vitamin is going to fix that. So that's why. So good. So what do you guys think determines whether something is true or relevant? According to what? Or according to whom? Sure, like, is it what your values tell you is true or relevant? No. How do I know that? Because all of you know better. All of you in your head intellectually know you shouldn't lose your temper, and it's stupid, right? That's what I hear from you guys. I'm not saying that. You know, it's stupid that I lose my temper. I know better. This isn't that big of a deal. I know how I should respond, right? Or I shouldn't be dealing with this. That was 20 years ago, right? Or, you know, I see how I do it to myself, or I know what to do. I just can't get myself to do it, right? So it's not based on anything conscious. It's not based on what you want to be true or relevant. It's based on what is true or relevant in the subconscious already. So good, we got a comment. If it doesn't conflict with core beliefs, exactly, bingo, you get 5 stars. Takes the people a while to realize that it's according to our core beliefs, okay? So what are those? What do you guys think your beliefs are? What are all the misconceptions about what core beliefs are? Or if you don't know, where do our core beliefs come from? Share with me. I know what most people say. Most people say it's my upbringing. It's what people say to me, my parents, my religion, my trauma, experiences. Good job, you guys. They come from experiences, from childhood, the way my brain interprets events. Now you're on to it. Okay, so stuff happens. I just added someone to our course, so there we go. So events happen, okay? And before we develop our core beliefs, you know, we develop this mind and it's kind of a blank slate, and our mind is looking for who we are and how we're going to survive, right? That's this survival center in your brain's job. That's the inner critic's job. How do I survive? Not how do I freaking build an amazing life I love, where I'm not completely trapped by fear and anxiety and overwhelm all the time. No, how do I survive, right? So it's constantly on the lookout. It's programmed to see bad things. Okay, so something happens, and before the age of 6, our brain is developing our core beliefs. So something happens, it comes through this filter. This part of the brain goes, what does this mean? How do I figure it out? How does it look good? How do I survive this? And from the uncomfortable experiences in our lives, we develop our core beliefs. About whom? About me. Because I only experience life from the inside out. I only experience life as me, right? So my beliefs are always about me. And yes, if you guys need to pop off at any point in time, catch the recording later with me and reach out to me. I can also follow up with you and do a free breakthrough call and look at and connect with you later. Great question. So these core beliefs are real. They're like files in your brain. They're programs, like I said, like computer programs. They drive the way that you see yourself and the world around you. They make up this inner critic and everything that it automatically says. So we call this the machine, right? Or the mind. And it's always talking. So you're at a red light. It has a story about being stuck at the red light, right? It has an automatic reaction to everything. And those automatic reactions come from a real part of your body. So they talk to a part of the body that produces emotion. And emotions are real proteins that signal cells and can become stored in your fat and in your tissues. So the majority of what you feel from post-trauma is actually, excuse me, frog in my throat, is actually stored emotions that your body did not biologically process and detox and break down and have you pee them out. Okay, it speaks to another part of your brain automatically that creates a train of thought or a thought process. So all those beliefs and thoughts and feelings that I talked about before, right? Like I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I feel broken, something's wrong with me, life is hard, this is my reality, it will always be this way, I'm stuck. That's where this comes from. Then you create a way of being, which is like, it's like your reaction, it's automatic, it's the fight or flight that takes place. And that way of being is like fight, flight, or freeze, right? Or cave, or people please, or shut down, right? Or put myself last. It's like, it's very much survival. It's automatic. You don't really choose it. And from all of that, yeah, or argue or defend, right? Protect. It's all survival until you interrupt it. From there is our realm of possible behavior. So we only can see in our life things inside of this very limited little world. This is your whole world right here, is inside of here. You can't see anything outside of this. So you know those people that you know, they always have money issues and you're like, well, you need a budget, right? Or like you know, the women who always pick abusive men will just leave him. Or the men who always pick narcissistic women will just stop it. Leave her. Like there, you know, there's things that are clear to me that if you followed my advice, I could help you out of this. But they swear like on their life that that's not possible for them, right? All they see is the reasons and excuses why they can't do it, because to them and to you, you really can't choose anything outside of this. And these behaviors are designed to prove the core beliefs true. So this is why this is so tricky. This is why willpower doesn't work. This is why talk therapy doesn't address this part of the brain. By the way, it's all up here. Talk therapy is all up here. Can you guys still see my whiteboard, by the way? Okay. This is why prayer and faith don't work on this level. I'm not saying they don't work, period, right? But it's like they don't actually change this part of the brain. Medications don't change this part of the brain. Supplements, homeopathy, diet, Bach flowers doesn't change this part of the brain. The fact that a lot of people think this is going to take a long time to heal, or it's a lifetime, or I'll never really make it, but the best I can do is the best I can do, right? To just, you know, I'll do my best. I'll tough it out. I'll be positive. You know, I'll practice gratitude. I'll practice forgiveness. I'll do my affirmations every day. You know, I feel a little bit better when I take walks. You know, those are all coping tools. That's all up here. It's not going to change any of this. That's why you're still stuck. That's why you're on this call with me. Okay, so the tricky thing about this is, and this is a reticular activator, you can only see, think, and feel what's true or relevant to you. So when you buy a new car or a new to you vehicle, what happens? You see it everywhere. Did you ever notice that? Say yes if you've ever noticed that. It's like everywhere on the road. You never noticed that so many people had your vehicle or the same color, right? Or as soon as you want to buy a new vehicle and you know which one you want, then you see them everywhere. How does that happen? That happens because it's now true or relevant. Okay, so this isn't conceptual. This changes what you physically can see, what you physically can hear, nonetheless what you emotionally or in your perception, can be aware of. Okay, that's why I was asking. There is something superimposed. Let me just, I'm going to reshare my whiteboard here because I can see that too. Is that better, you guys? Good, and we're getting a lot of yeses. You guys know this phenomenon. Okay, so what happens is you can only let in evidence. You only see stories or evidence to prove this core belief true. And from there comes all of your emotional reactions, all of your triggers, all of your upsets, all of your thought patterns, these ways of being, like, what's the point? And all behavior makes sense in context. So if you're dealing with not eating right or not exercising or not taking care of yourself or binge watching Netflix or drinking too much alcohol or, whatever, being a workaholic or not speaking up for yourself, whatever behaviors or whatever the things you're doing that you wish you could change, you're like, this is probably not helping me right now. Those behaviors are in the context of the core belief. So you can coach all day long and motivate yourself all day long to change your behavior. Tough luck. You can try to be positive. Tough luck. You can try to stop negative thoughts. Think more positively. You can try to feel different or ignore the bad feelings because you know that they aren't true, which is just more stuffing, by the way. You guys invalidate your emotions more than anything instead of actually healing them. It's only because you haven't learned how. Because really there's this core belief about you that's running the show. Now, does anybody have any questions, or is this making sense before I tell you what's possible? Yes, good. Makes sense. And what are you discovering for yourselves and why you still struggle despite everything you've tried to heal? What are you discovering just from what I've shared so far? What does this mean? What ahas are you having? How are you seeing this information newly in your life? And while you guys are typing, most people, the light bulb goes on. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's why I've been in therapy for 5 years and I'm still struggling with intimacy. Or I'm still struggling, I've tried every program under the sun to quit smoking, but then I get an eating disorder. Then I do a program on eating disorder. Then I take up drinking. Then I do a program on drinking. And then I binge watch Netflix. At least it's better than any of the other things. So what are you discovering? If this is true about your brain and your life, what are you seeing for your life and what it's going to take to heal and why you haven't been able to heal? Good. So yes, of course, years of therapy, years of prayer, and still crazy after all these years. Very good. And you think it's you. People tell me all the time, I think it's me. Like I must be the problem. I'm here to tell you, you're not the problem. We have a very broken system for dealing with trauma. It doesn't work. That's why we developed this. That's why we're 11 years in and we've seen people over all the spectrum who've tried absolutely everything and then they get better in like a week or 2 or 3 or a couple months after years. It's like miraculous. And it's not really mystical once you actually know what's going on and how the brain works. That's why we're so passionate about teaching this to you guys. Okay? So the real trick in having a lasting solution is not talking about it. It's not all the coping tools and band-aids. It's not personal development. It's not Tony Robbins. I'm not bashing any of them. I'm just saying they're not going to change your core beliefs. We've worked with hypnotherapists. They all had the same negative beliefs, even though they did belief work inside of hypnotherapy. Can you believe it? We've worked with some of the top leaders in personal development who swore, right, that they worked through all of this stuff. Subconsciously, they still had the belief. When we found it, they were like, oh, well, that makes sense while I still struggle with this, and this. Okay? So when you create a new belief, it creates an automatic new cycle of what you see, feel, think, right? How you be, options that you have of how to change your life in the way you want it to go. Okay, so when you create a new belief, it changes what you can, it's like you buy a new car, and all of a sudden, like never before, nothing changes in life, but you can see so many things differently. It actually lets in a whole new, truer relevant. And this is in the subconscious. This is the part of the brain that changes what you see, think, and feel. So the trauma injury that happens in traumatic events actually comes from core beliefs you made by age 6 that were, this filter seals off. So unless if you activate this filter, you can't just wish your way into changing any of this. So round and round you go through your whole life in this belief cycle. Okay, so when you create a new cycle, it's like a whole new realm of the world, like a whole new paradigm or a whole new dimension. I don't know how to describe it. That sounds woo-woo and mystical, but I assure you it's not. After every belief switch, we actually ask people, which is like one conversation, by the way, this stuff is easy and fast. We ask people, okay, so did we tell you the truth? Do you see the past, present, and future completely differently? And do you know, in 11 years of doing this work and more on doing it, going through it myself, but I have never heard a no. So that's how the women who've been raped and have been suffering for 12 years, they can't see men like men anymore, you know, and their marriage is on the brink of disaster and they can't lose weight and, you know, they're tired all the time and, you know, they're stuck in their jobs. You know, after one belief switch, they come back and say, I have no more pain related to my rape. I can tell you what happened. It's not like I forgot anything. It's not like anything changed. It's not like anyone apologized to me. I just don't feel the impact anymore. I'm whole because I have myself back. So it's really, really beautiful. Good. So some of the comments. My head is tingling now. Good job. This is a roller coaster of emotion and experience, and I've been through a lot of work. Yeah. We work with people who've been doing work, a lot of work for like 50 years. You should see the amount of work that I've done. The thing is, it's not going to stick, you know, until you get the core beliefs. Until you get that work into the subconscious, you're not going to change this mechanism, period. When you change this mechanism, the work will just come to you in life because you will see different and you will know how to find the support you need. It will just show up for you. You'll just see it. You'll seek it out. You'll know what you need. It won't be a battle or a wrestle. It'll be natural. So today's course, if you don't have any questions about this, so just ask any questions. This course is about how you know what your core beliefs are and how to identify that pattern that's going on in life and how to create a new pattern and a new future. And we'll talk about how we switch these beliefs. So are there any questions before we move on? And if not, please share, even in one sentence, what are you discovering so far? Hopefully this information, for those of you who haven't heard this before, is really, truly new. Good. Some of the comments. I wrote down the words, I have myself back, and began to cry. That, the feeling that I was on track and got off track and lost myself. Yeah, how many people relate to that? I hear that all the time. It's like you don't have yourself, like something's broken inside you or off or weird, disconnected, like bad. I had a lot of like, oh, this is like bad inside me. Like I feel yucky inside, right? And good, we have a graduate that said, I'm remembering what it was like before I did this work. Isn't that funny that you have to remember what it was like before I did that work? I often tell people that, you want to write down your changes because you'll forget. That's how cool this stuff is like, for example, I forget I ever had an eating disorder. How can you forget something like that? I forget about my past trauma all the time. I forget that I've ever been divorced. I forget that I've lost a baby because I don't carry the pain with me all the time. I remember what happened. I can honor what happened, but I'm whole. I am whole in my life now. So I forget what it was even like. It's that much out of my world. I'm in such a new world that I forget what it ever felt like. So good. Some more comments from a graduate. I was so stressed. I was super reactive. I never honored myself. I didn't think I needed to. Now I feel whole. And I resented being accused of being broken by my boyfriend. Oh, now I resent it. Yeah, and that was only a trigger because you believed you were broken. Yep, and she says, because I am okay. And I know I am okay. And that's the definition of being happy, is loving and accepting yourself and knowing that you're going to be okay no matter what the circumstance. Having that emotional, I'll call it control, but I'll say having that emotional self-awareness and ability to be okay inside you, not dependent upon those circumstances and the things that trigger you. That's what we're after here. That's what it's like when you have positive, empowering beliefs. Now, here's the thing. All humans make up their beliefs in negative circumstances where they have to survive, and this inner critic machine of the mind makes up these negative beliefs. And then we either cover them up by trying to be even stronger, even better, more right, more knowledgeable, like whatever personality we develop to try to survive this negative belief. All our core beliefs are negative as humans. And that's the beauty of this work, is that we have worked with people that they come to us and they say, nah, that's probably not relevant for me because I had a perfect childhood. They have the same negative beliefs as everyone else. And we've heard people say, I don't think this will work for me because you don't know what I've been through. So, almost everybody we work with has been through severe trauma and thinks they are too broken to fix. And the process works the same, and it's just as fast. All right, so let's dive in, okay? I want 3 volunteers for sure, but I want everybody to do this work. So is there anybody that wants to volunteer first? What we're going to do is we are going to actually have you take an event or a symptom, like where you're triggered, a circumstance in life where you're triggered and you're feeling the trauma. And we're going to have you boil it down into discovering what that core belief is about yourself, where it came from, and the patterns that it creates in your life so that it's no longer hidden from your view. So is there anybody that wants to volunteer for that? Oh, good. So we've got a couple volunteers. I will get to you. We've got 2 volunteers. If we have time for one more, I will try to do that. So if there is one more person that wants to volunteer, let's do it. We've got one question. So do we delete old negative beliefs or do we add new positive beliefs to fix our brains? Great question. So the beauty is that when you have a new belief, it lets in what's true or relevant. So here's our new belief, okay, and here's our old belief. My mouse is giving me a little bit of trouble. So now you're going to let in stories and evidence that prove your new belief true. And that whole new process is going to happen like I talked about. In the beginning, which I don't hear, I probably in the last 11 years heard 3 times where someone went back into their old belief. It's possible because it's still there. It's a ridge in your brain. Okay, but most people just experience the new belief. The old pathway is still there. And the beauty of your brain is that it's called neuroplasticity. It's changeable. So what happens is your brain pathways are like muscles. Use them or lose them. Okay? So you have to work out the pathways of your brains for them to, get really deep and ingrained, right? And become really automatic. So as you don't use this old belief, this pathway in these cells start to break down. And what happens when the connections lose, lose touch from each other, and they become really weak and weird and malformed, like unusable to the brain, little glial cells are like Pac-Man. I think of little Pac-Man, like the game. They come and they eat up. They consider this debris or waste, and they come and they eat up the rest of this waste. So the beautiful part about this is, every other system that I know, you have to continue using in order to feel better. Like it's a coping tool, like, tapping. I have a negative trigger, I'm going to tap, and I'm going to, tap my emotions away. Or, there's hypnosis on everything and you have to go back to it, or affirmations, you have to keep using them, or a lot of the personal development tools, they're ongoing, you have to keep using them. Oh, I'm being victim again, and now you got to reuse it. The beautiful part about switching beliefs is that you never have to switch them again. They can't unswitch. You'd have to purposely do that, which you can't, because you don't actually believe the lie. You actually do know that what you value is the truth. Your value system is true. And so you can't unswitch the belief. It's permanent. So really good. So a couple questions. So you teach the brain to change to the new belief pathway. Yeah. And we teach you guys how to do that. It's not like hypnosis or brainwashing or anything weird. It's very logical, very practical, and very physiological, and how you are able to stimulate that part of the brain. And EMDR is close. It can activate some subconscious centers, but it doesn't work with the core beliefs. So what EMDR misses, and it's like there's a huge buzz about EMDR now, again, not bashing it, but it's huge. And most of the people we work with have already done it, and they're still suffering. And so where EMDR works is it does help activate the subconscious centers through rapid eye movements or stimulating different parts of the bodies or through sound. However, it works inside the memories. It doesn't work inside the belief system. So you create a new belief system or pathway, and you, in that moment, will see the past, the present, the future completely different forever. Good. Another comment. Oh my gosh, I love that part when the old neurons are destroyed. Yes, there are some super cool videos on YouTube. Yeah, you can look this up. This is like out there. It's been out there for many, many years. And it takes a while for new research to get into the public. And the thing is, we don't have retention. So that's not a money maker for the mental health industry, for people to get well. So when people get well, they don't need this work anymore. So I don't know that. I think individual healers have very good intentions, but the system's broken because it's not working. And 9 out of 10 of you, or 90%, won't do this work, and you will always have these triggers, and you will always have these patterns. That's the statistics that over many years of tracking people with trauma, that's the statistics. So, okay, good. So let's have Elizabeth, let's have you share first. So is there an event that you want to work on?
Can you hear me, Nicole?
Yes, I can.
I'm concerned about my background noise. Okay. Yes, there's an event. I actually identified it in therapy. So rather than hearing the current complaint in life, you want to hear the event, yes?
Yep, so let me give you a little bit of background, and thanks for volunteering. Okay, so we're actually going to take apart the cycle that we just looked at, and we're going to help you guys go through a process where you can identify what are these core beliefs. So first, give me just a couple details. We don't need to get into it too much about what the event is, and then we're going to go directly into your experience and the emotions and the thoughts and how it all was for you, like the traumatic part.
Okay. I was in a store like Walmart. It probably was Walmart, actually. I was like 5 or 6 or 7, and I asked my mom to look at something, and she said, "You know we can't afford that." Or that's probably the exact word she said, but, and what I took it to mean was I was bad for asking for what I wanted, and also she hated me or resented me, but I think it occurred like she hated me.
Good. Anything else on your experience or what the trauma is or what?
Well, yeah, like I immediately felt like super ashamed, like rejected, bad, and then followed hatred. Like I was so angry that, you know, she made me feel so stupid when I didn't even ask her to buy something. I was just like, look at this cool toy or whatever it was that I was like caught my eye, you know. So it was that like deep shame and then like a rage, like a hatred.
Good. Okay, great. So it's funny because this could have happened to somebody else, right? And they would have come up with a whole different list, or they wouldn't have been bothered at all. So it's just interesting to notice the distinction between what happened and everything that goes on for us. So it's very simple. Your beliefs are always about you. They're always I am statements. They're always pretty simple. They're not going to be about your mom. They're not going to be about somebody else or something else in life. They're not going to be about God or religion or politics or anything like that. They're always about me. And then that's what we project onto everything in our life. Okay? So let's go through a couple beliefs. You actually said one already. I am bad. Okay.
So, okay, yeah, I'm, yeah. Okay, sorry. What comes to mind for me, and you can I don't want to derail anything, so just direct me.
Sure.
But what comes to mind is like, that's not what's still left. I've actually dealt with that belief with your work. But there's definitely something left because I am still getting triggered around money, especially when, like, I'm in a new romantic relationship and I'm discovering that whenever there's a money interaction, I get weird. and I got really clear, it's not in his clearing at all. Like, he has nothing about it, and I get all kinds of weird.
Good. I love what you're saying because what you're pulling out now is this thing happened when you were how old?
Really little, maybe 6 or 5 or 7, something like that.
Yep. And now you have this money pattern that always shows up and it's showing up in your current relationship and it's affecting how you're being. So good job. Yes, we're going to keep exploring more. Okay. There are more beliefs to this here. And I am bad is one of them.
Yep.
And that's cool that you've actually switched that belief. It's cool that you're a graduate on this call. Do you want to share how the world occurs totally different after switching beliefs?
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't done this work, I just want to say that this is unscripted and I'm just going to be really real with you. So I've had an inherent sense that I was morally bad, you know, as long as I can remember. And it was like, I knew it wasn't true. I did therapy. I did positive self-talk. I knew it was a bunch of baloney, and it kept running in the background anytime I was not performing at my peak. So, you know, 99.9% of the time, it was likely because I was morally, inherently bad. Um, and I switched my belief with Alicia and with McCall's work, and it's not even a conversation anymore. So I have to ask myself now, should I feel guilty about this? Like I actually am like so not in the space of I'm bad that I've been almost afraid to trust my conscience, like, because it no longer is way, way, way overkill. Does that make sense, Nicole? Is this landing?
Yeah, what I'm hearing you say is you're not constantly, you actually shared this when you graduated, that you're not constantly second guessing yourself. You're not constantly like, oh, what am I doing? Am I saying it right? How am I showing up? Should I take this action? Like it was.
No, not, yeah. What you're speaking, here's what I can relate to. I'm not afraid to be myself. It seems really obvious to me that being honoring myself is like the highest that I can do. Does that land? Like before it occurred, like I was always trying to get there. I would improve myself forever. I mean, I'm still actually deeply committed to constant improvement, but it's no longer an improvement of who I am at the core. It's like who I am at the core is great. Now, what do I want to deal with in life? Oh, well, I just bought a bigger house. I have a nice car now. Like all the stuff, I handled all the stuff. So now it's like, well, now what do I want to do to improve, right? But there's no longer a conversation called, I'm bad, that's why I don't have the car I want. I'm bad, that's why I live in a too small home. Or, you know, that's why I can't make enough money or whatever. It used to always be, if I just could fix the badness, everyone would like me and love me and all my problems would be over. And that's just gone. I don't think about that anymore.
That's great. Yep. And I got what you're saying. And it's like it changes from the inside out. So for everybody listening and the recording, yep, we can hear you still. So
I cannot hear you, Nicole.
Whoops. Can everybody else hear me? Type yes if you can hear me.
I'm wondering if I lost you. I'm going to dial right back in because I think I lost you.
Okay, you can still hear me, you guys? Okay, Elizabeth cutting in and out. Great, she's gonna call back. So what you can hear in what she's saying is like, it's no longer even a conversation of whether I'm good or bad or right or wrong. And welcome, Elizabeth. You were cutting it out a little bit, so I'm just reviewing. So it's no longer a conversation of I'm wrong to feel this way, I'm wrong for the results I have in my life. I have the results I have in my life because I'm bad. That's resolved. Now, what I want people to know is if you are on this workshop, you need to be looking at this belief, like, where do I believe I'm bad and wrong, and where do I see that everywhere? Because that is a belief that we share as human beings. We found it in every single individual we've worked with over the last 11 years. It's just one of those common core survival beliefs. Okay? So Elizabeth, thanks for your share and being willing to be vulnerable and open. You're awesome. Let's keep going and seeing what is still there. So what you could look at and how you guys are going to do this for yourself. So now's a good time to pull that paper and pen out and be looking at your own event, right? And kind of doing some of this work with us. You're going to just ask yourself, but what did that mean about me? Okay, so let's take I feel shame. Elizabeth, why do you feel shame? What do you think it is about you that where you feel ashamed in that event? Go back to that memory. Like, I am what? What did you think that meant about you? Hopefully she's here. Let me check her.
I just realized I was muted. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yeah, we can hear you now. So what do you think it meant about you that your mom said, you know, we can't afford that, and now you feel this shame? Why do you feel shameful? Because what are you?
It meant like I hurt her, I disrespected her, I shouldn't have asked for what I wanted. That was bad. Like I shouldn't want things was definitely there. Like something like I'm selfish or, gosh, what was there right in that moment? It was just like, I never should have wanted that. I never should have said that. Both of those were there.
Okay, good. Now that's a lot about the external, which is where you guys are going to want to go first. So just ask yourself, okay, so why shouldn't you have asked that? Why were you, if you were selfish, then what would that have meant about you? What's that yucky thing about you that you're ashamed of?
It really is like, it, I mean, I'm bad is what comes up. Like, I should have known better. I didn't, I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. That came up too just now.
Yep, feel stupid.
Yep.
Good. So first you guys want to write down everything that's there, all the crap. Then you're going to objectively look at it. So it actually is, I am stupid. You got it. And you said that. So I knew it was going to come up. Stupid.
You know, that's interesting because that has literally come up maybe 8 times in the last 48 hours for me. Not just I'm stupid, I'm also projecting it on others. Like, how could you be this stupid? And I normally don't talk like that. So it's very active in my brain right now.
Good awareness. Yep. And that's where you guys are going to get the beliefs like I'm stupid, incompetent, not capable, not good enough, weird.
Yes.
It's
I'm stupid as in incompetent. That's what it meant.
Yep. Good. And even people have said gross or dirty or, you know, I mean, anything could come up. And guess what? This is across the board. Everybody on this workshop, you know, look at where you have this belief I'm stupid and incompetent and where it's running the entire show all the time because it's there. Okay, good. So Elizabeth, let's keep going.
Wow.
So, yep, there's another one.
I'm incompetent. Uh-oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you might be cutting in and out. Can you hear us?
Okay. I'm incompetent has been running. I'm just noticing that I was not aware, but I've used that with regards to, like when I offend people because my words or communication is abrasive, I just blame, oh, I'm just socially incompetent, right? Instead of being responsible about it, it feels like this is just the way I am. I'm trapped.
Good awareness. Yep. And as you guys bring the subconscious conscious, you can't unsee it. So you will now start to see it from participating in this workshop. You will now start to see the pattern everywhere instead of it running the show. And what we talk about in our course, mastering your mind as the way to completely end this trauma crap. That's not what it's called, but that's my abbreviation for it. In that masterclass, you will get how if you are not observing the mind, you're stuck in it. It's like you're just a robot. You're just on autopilot, and there's no way for you to get out of this trauma brain until you actually can get out of it and observe it happening and have no attachment. Be like, oh, that's the thing. That's the thing. Now I'm going to go address it. There's like the triggers aren't triggering anymore. The stress isn't stressful. The overwhelm isn't overwhelming. The anxiety isn't anxious, you know, however you say that. It's not the anxiety. You don't have anxiety about having anxiety anymore, right? So there's just no charge. You're totally free to transform it. That's the power of dealing with what's in the subconscious. So good job, Elizabeth. Let's look at one more for you, right? Let's look at this rejected thing. Why did she reject you? Now, remember, this isn't the truth. We're looking at what the core beliefs are. You've been rejected, Elizabeth. What is it about you that you've been rejected?
Like I did something wrong. I should have known better. It's because I'm bad. That's why she rejected me.
Okay, and you guys might come up with the same ones, but it's something new. Look at something new. Let's find 3 beliefs here.
Why did she reject me? Okay. She doesn't want me. Or I guess that would be if it's about me, I'm looking. I don't think it's I'm not good enough, but
You did say it. What word did you? She doesn't.
want me. Like I'm not wanted.
Yep. And what does that mean to you? Like desirable?
Gosh. I don't think it's desirable. Worthy, maybe?
What did you say?
I said worthy.
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
no, that doesn't. Maybe that. I'm not sure if that one fits.
That's okay. A lot of these will show up. You guys will have your own words or meanings to words. But wanted, I often hear desirable, worthy, lovable, valuable, acceptable. And if you've done this work for a long time, you've already switched many beliefs and you're learning to do this for yourself, you'll end up finding unique words that you just haven't done before. Like Elizabeth, you know you're lovable and acceptable, but there's something here about being wanted, right? And that might just be it. It might be as simple as I am wanted. You might want to have another word in there. It's totally up to you if that is like, yeah, that's it.
It does feel like she doesn't want me. I mean, that really does feel like I'm not wanted. That feels, that resonates.
Yep, that's it. So of course, then you can see the emotions. I'm angry. I feel stupid. There it is again. I feel rage, right? Then you can see the emotions. So let's look at what happened on an emotional level and on a thought process as a product of I'm bad, wrong, stupid, incompetent, not wanted. What are the emotions that you felt? Anger, rage?
First it was shame. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm going back to the moment because what keeps coming up is like, this is really fresh right now in my everyday life. But it's like, it's like this deep shame. I shouldn't have done this, or I should have known better.
I'm shameful is one of yours. So good. And then your thoughts were like, I shouldn't have, right? I'm in, what did you say? Competent.
Right.
Okay. Now, what way of being showed up as a product of that?
It was embarrassment, and then anger, like deep-seated hot anger. Not like acting out, not like screaming, but like fuming.
Okay, so like emotionally out of control.
Yeah. First embarrassed, like feeling confused and befuddled, followed by the like the reactive I hate you almost.
Okay, good. Great. So, and then what was your behavior? How did you from that way of being?
I think I teared up, but I tried to hide it. Like I tried to put on a strong face and act like everything was fine. Like you can't hurt me. Whew. Yeah, that one kind of resonates a little.
Good. So now what I want you guys to do is to actually look at all the other places, forget the event, and look at where your go-to is this way of being. Where does it show up in your life? It's a lot of places. And where do you go to the behavior? Just put on a strong face and act like you can't hurt me, or I'll be okay. I'll figure it out.
Well, for me, it comes out a lot in, so my boyfriend is like, he's very comfortable financially, and I've never dated anyone like that. So for the first time, I'm having a lot of money spent on me, and it's like really triggers this. I feel confused, I feel uncomfortable, I feel like um I literally said to him, I need to understand the rules of the game. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, financially, when do you want to spend money on me? Like, it was like I had to protect myself from um doing something stupid again, right? Like I was like, I need to know how to navigate this. And finally I got it. It wasn't in his space at all. It was all in my space. Like, I was the one making this weird. I'm the only one reacting here.
Yeah, good.
Um,
And can you see you had to protect yourself from your mom, from your past.
right. It's like, I don't want to be hurt like that again. So I don't want to look stupid again. I don't want to ask for what I want if I don't have permission to ask for what I want. Now, see, I'm just not committed to that. But that is what's running. That is going right now in my head.
Yep. Very good awareness. So, what are you discovering about seeing the core beliefs that you created? By the way, you guys, these aren't the truth. You made them up. They're not true. And what's powerful is when you go back to the 6-year-old and you have some perspective and you can switch these beliefs based on someone who has a frontal lobe that's rationally thinking. You know, like your mom saying that didn't turn you into a dinosaur or didn't change you or make you less of a human in any way, you know,
You
and you
know,
can get the truth. That's where the power is. But what are you discovering about that these beliefs are running the show? What are you seeing new in your life about the impact of the way of being and the behavior patterns you have and the results that you're getting from this cycle? We can't hear you if you're talking. Elizabeth, we can't hear you. Maybe she has a bad connection. So until are you there?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. What are you discovering in being able to see what's actually there and the being and behavior that shows up in these cycles in your life and with money and with men and probably your business and your kids? It's probably everywhere.
Yes, all of those. So with my business, which took a downturn during the pandemic shutdown, I was like crushed. And what I'm noticing in this interaction is if I have the subconscious belief I'm incompetent, then of course when my business gets worse, it's going to be devastating because it's proof I really am incompetent. Right? And so it's been disproportionately devastating to have lose clients or like that. And I'm noticing it with my kids because my daughter last night, my 17-year-old, in the middle of the night, I picked her up from a party, right? She wants to talk for half an hour. She said something about, I consider myself morally superior. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't. But I'm like, I really want you to tell me where you see that. And she starts telling me, and it was really hard to hear. Of course, with the belief I'm incompetent, it would be really hard to hear proof that, like, as a mom, I'm not delivering what I'm committed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just a reminder, you guys, all our emotions come from our subconscious beliefs. There's no other, and that filter and the mind, there's no other place that it comes from. Physically, physiologically, that's where it comes from. So when you have those uncomfortable emotions, you got to get to the roots. When you actually get to the roots, you never have to deal with that emotional turmoil again. You forget about it. You're on to the next thing. How can I create and get outside my comfort zone and, you know, take on being bold and everything I want in my life? So, Elizabeth, I'm curious, how long does it take you to switch a belief and be able to totally experience a whole new reality around this? How long do your beliefs typically take you to switch?
2 hours.
Wow. So You mean to tell me that you have a permanent belief switch in 2 hours that completely changes how you see the past, present, and future?
Yes.
It's
And when I have one of
remarkable.
these buggers come up, like about the money, that's when I'm like, I need another belief switch because I have never dealt with this one before.
Good. Yeah. And but by the way, guys, Elizabeth isn't through her belief program. The results she's experienced, her life took off when she had a couple in the beginning, and now she's like going through the rest as they come up in life. So this isn't again, this isn't magical. This is extraordinary results produced by extraordinary people who are willing to put in the work and invest in themselves and get to these root causes, however many root causes there are. And what's amazing is that when you actually know how to activate and stimulate the right part of the brain to soften that filter, the reticular activating system, and you switch this belief, it does not take a long time. It does not take years. It does not take months. It does not take a lifetime. Those are myths. Those are myths. You will see the past, whatever trauma it was, completely different after the belief switch, because you will get the pain is all over here. The pain is not in what happened. In fact, what happened will have no sting once she switches these beliefs. And Elizabeth, you can verify in your past beliefs, those past events don't hurt anymore, do they?
Nope.
They're complete. Okay, so I want to take a quick break. We've been going for about 90 minutes. I want you guys to be able to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. If you're watching the recording, pause the video, and also take 5 minutes. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we're going to give you guys 5 minutes to just sit down and take an event and go through some of this work yourself. I'm going to leave it up here on the whiteboard for you. And then when we come back, we're going to check in and have one more person go through this example and share what they're getting and what they think their beliefs are. We're going to help you get them. And then we'll answer some questions. I know we've got some questions. And then we're going to finish up. And what we're going to look at is how to create a powerful way of being in a powerful new future. And we're going to look at what your almost certain future is if you don't change this. And then we're going to really get you connected to your goals and what it's going to take to get you exactly where you want to go into that wholeness. And that's it for the workshop. Then we're just going to wrap up, make sure your questions are complete, and that you're supported for whatever next steps you need to take. So give yourselves 10 minutes, and I'll see you right back here. All right, so Jen, well, actually, let me answer a good question as you guys are going through this. So a great question I got asked is, so is there a list of core beliefs people commonly have as examples? So we do have a list. In fact, at the end, I can pull it up so you guys can see the impact of the core beliefs that you have developed, that we have found are consistent amongst all human beings, that we've worked with in trauma. And what I want to emphasize here is it's really important for you, and in all the work that you will do with us, you will find those answers inside yourself, and we will support you in doing that so that you know what's true for you. This isn't about teaching you some external tool or thing or resource or information that you're going to have to conform to or believe, or I hope it works or I trust it works. This is about doing the internal work for yourself. So simply by asking the questions that we talked about, what did this mean about me? Why do I feel this emotion? What did I think it meant about me? You really will get to these I am statements such as this. And so let's do Jen. Let's do you, since you volunteered. Let me unmute you. Oh, it won't let me now. Zoom has changed. Will you unmute yourself? Perfect. All right, so do you have an event that you want to look at?
I do. It's been something that's been coming up. Can you hear me good?
I can, loud and clear.
Beautiful. It's something that's been coming up a lot lately. So it's a deep-seated one where I was taken advantage of as a child sexually and have had other experiences where that has happened, and kept it to myself for a very long time and didn't feel comfortable telling anybody, because when I was ready to tell somebody, they weren't willing to listen.
Got it. Okay. That's very common in the work that we do. So it's a great one. And I'm really grateful that you're willing to share, because I know a lot of people are going to relate to you and be able to really do this work for themselves. So let's, we don't need to go into the details of that. That's plenty of details. So let's now look at what your experience was and see if we can hone down on what those core beliefs are. So what's all the junk? What's all the stuff, the experience? And if you've already gone through it and you think you know the beliefs, feel free to share that first.
So I have developed some beliefs that still continue to this day. Like I feel stupid for not being strong enough to overcome these things, or I feel stupid for not being able to stand up for myself.
Got it. Keep going.
Yeah, I feel weak. Absolutely. I am not desirable for me, more that I am desirable for being a body.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say, if you're just a body and you're not desirable, what else, why? What is that about you that makes you not desirable? How else
I don't see myself as being worthy to be valued.
Very good. Good. What else?
Let's see. I'm only worthy of people taking me for granted or taking advantage of me.
Okay, so if people take advantage of you, what does that say about you or how you feel in life or in relationships?
Right back to that other belief of I am not worthy of being valued. I don't deserve anything authentic in my life.
Okay, good. And I'm going to share some of what I hear in the background, just because I'm going to push you guys through. There's a lot that could show up here. I also hear I'm not in control of myself or my life, like victim or powerless. I'm not safe. Trust is a big one. So it's actually, we always see that we can't trust others, but it's actually, I'm not trustworthy. We lose self-trust. Because we can't trust ourselves to keep ourselves safe. We can't trust ourselves to, set boundaries for ourselves. We can't trust ourselves to discern situations correctly. Good job.
Exactly. Yes, and I can relate to all of that. The trustworthy one is a really big one that does transpire in almost every aspect of my life.
It's another common one we see all the time, we usually start with.
Yes.
Okay, so we could keep going, but you can see in what she's saying, these I am statements. So it's not going to be a comment like people just take advantage of me. You want to look at what does that mean? That means I'm not worthy and valuable, right? Or you could say, how do I think people treat or feel about me? They don't value me. Okay, I'm not valuable. So that's how you can find some of these. But they're I statements just like this. Okay, and it's simple. The only difference is that we're talking about a core belief, and you have to change that belief. You can't go do a million affirmations on I am lovable, I am lovable, I am lovable, I am lovable. It's not going to work. So good. What are some of the emotions that you experience because of these beliefs? Notice I said because of these beliefs, not because of the event.
Anger, frustration, sadness,
Okay.
lonely,
Mm-hmm. Good. What are some of the thoughts? Oh, and I'm getting a weird window, so hold on, let me just reshare. So yeah, Jen, what are you think of some of the thoughts that occur, the thought processes that happen because of these emotions, because of these feelings, because of these beliefs?
that I always settle for less. That's a thought of mine.
Good. Everyone here can relate to that. I always compromise. I always settle. I don't get a house I want. Good. Anything else come to mind?
It still sticks with the I'm not worthy of anything better.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. They're all tricky, but when you tell yourself and feel and believe, I don't, did you say deserve?
Mm-hmm.
Anything better? What ways of being show up?
So I'm always struggling. I'm always struggling with making connections with people. I always struggle financially.
And what way of being? Why? If you put that in a way of being.
Oh, okay. You said put it in a why.
Yeah, like who are you being that you always struggle financially?
I'm being a victim.
Good. Can't see possibilities. Can't see how to get out of it.
Nope, I stay stuck.
Are you discouraged?
Oh, that's definitely a good one. Discouraged is one of them because
I can hear in the background. Yep. So good. Yeah. So then what actions do you take when, because see the patterns, the problem is not the event, the trauma is not the event, this is the trauma. And the reason why it's still there is because these are programs actively running. So you can look, and I don't know, I guess I know a little bit more of your story, but we haven't talked about this specifically. Like, do you struggle with anger, frustration, sadness, and loneliness in a lot of places in life?
Mm-hmm. I do in most of the places in my life.
Yeah, do you see everywhere that you're settling for less and that you don't deserve anything better? Do you see it everywhere?
I do.
You see
Yes.
struggle, disconnection, victim, stuck, discouraged everywhere.
I do.
That is the trauma. So everybody who wants to go talk about the event all day long and, it doesn't change your brain at all. Zero, squat, zilch. Okay, so what behaviors come from how you're being and feeling in life? What are the types of things you do that actually perpetuate the cycle you're in?
Sometimes I do nothing. I might be struggling financially. I know I can go out and get a job that would be a full-time job and it would probably provide just enough to cover the bills, but I sit back and I do nothing.
Good. How many of us can relate to that? I can. That was one of my cycles. I would do nothing or I would do everything. I would overdo. Okay, good. What else? What are some of the other behaviors? And good job being willing to honor yourself and look at this and bring this conscious, because now it doesn't have to run the show. So only strong people who are really committed to themselves, to honoring themselves, to the future they say they want, to healing, to being responsible, are the people who are willing to open up and see this. So good job, you guys. So what other behaviors? Let's find a couple more.
There are times that I will blame others for my discomfort.
Good. How many of us can relate to that? We always have something to blame when we're in trauma. When we can't get out of trauma brain, there's always something to blame, including ourselves. That's not responsibility. It's more of being in trauma brain when we beat ourselves up. My pattern was massively beating myself up. You know, I would tell my parents when I was, you know, please don't. Like, I already punished myself about 10 times harder than you do. You know, because that's what my trauma did. Good. So one other.
Self-destructive behaviors. I sometimes will make sure I overstimulate on electronics. I won't sleep. There are times I will not eat. I stay stuck in negative thoughts about myself.
Good job. Yep. And how many of us can relate to those things? All of us. We've got some comments. Yeah, the extremes are familiar with the eating. Binge eater, super tight controls on eating. And that's what you guys ate. You will, if you don't get out of the belief cycle, the old cycle, and create a new one, anything you do to try to fix or change or control is in the same circle. So you'll end up with a different version of the same thing. So you know those people who are like, I'll never be like my dad, and who do they end up with? Either just like their dad or the direct opposite. Either way, it's completely dysfunctional. So you don't want to try to fix and change all this external stuff. You want a whole new realm of possibility, a whole new conversation where all of this just goes away. You have a blank slate. Because what you've done so far is try to slap on learning onto being stupid, right? Or like learning women's empowerment, right? I see stuff all the time. I'm not desirable. Okay, well, I'll go make myself desirable in all these ways. I'm not worthy or valuable just because of who I am. Well, I'll find a way to become value or add value. I'll do value. I'll put myself last and put everyone else first to make everybody else happy, right? Or like whatever it is. So us trying to slap something on top of a negative belief it just gives us a different version of the same dysfunction. Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, great. This is a really good example. So before we move on to the last thing in our workshop, and then we'll wrap up, I want to check in. What are you guys discovering? Are there any questions or challenges that you've experienced as you are trying to go through this process for yourself that I can help you with? What are you discovering for yourself newly? What are you seeing that you've never seen before? And or what questions? Okay, good. So we've got one question. I'm having trouble figuring out how to identify beliefs from events. I remember when I was little, being in a car late at night, I was tired. I wanted to go home. I was crying. My dad hit me several times, told me to shut up, etc. I cried louder, hysterical sobs, because I wanted him to see I was sad and I wanted love, a a hug and to be heard. He hit me more and yelled more, that I was faking it, overreacting. Emotions are unloved, not listened to, confused. Why doesn't he care? Doesn't he hear I need him? I'm hurt and I'm scared. Not sure how to figure out the beliefs from this. Great job. So perfect. Let's dive in. So let's look at the emotions. Unloved. So there you go. So how would you guys put unloved, feeling unloved? What would be the belief? And type in the chat box. So if I'm feeling unloved, that's an easy one to see. It's because I believe I'm not what? Crickets. Come on, you guys. I'm not, and it's even on the board. If I feel unloved, it's because I believe I'm not what? Valuable, sure, and lovable. So the thing is, you know, I walk by strangers that don't love me. I'm not triggered by that, right? It's like in the events where I was triggered, good, if I'm unloved, then I feel neglected. Yep. That's one way that you could feel. So yeah, when I'm triggered, and it's usually people that are closest to us that trigger us, I believe I'm unlovable or unacceptable or unvaluable. So let's look at a couple more. Some of those emotions not listened to. I can put those on the board. So unlovable, not listened to, confused. Why doesn't he care? Here, I need him. Scared. Good. So let's look more at this. So so why would you feel confused? Like in this event, you're confused. It's just so you know what's going on, your brain is going, what is going on? What does this mean? This must mean something about me that I never saw before. That's when you create those beliefs. Good, so we've got some other comments just to help out. So if I have a similar pattern, my intellectual accomplishments, multiple degrees, etc., can be my way of convincing myself I'm not stupid. Exactly. And if somebody criticizes or even seems to be implying that I'm not doing something brilliantly or have made a stupid mistake, then I react and triggered because I feel again how stupid and incompetent I am, like they found me out despite my degrees. Yes, you got it. And that won't even trigger you. You won't even hear them as criticisms. If you fundamentally know that you're smart and capable, or you know you're brilliant, or you're perfect, whole and complete, you know, or you're good enough, you won't even hear those things. Good. So I want to hear from you're registered as IR. I want to hear from you so we can help you get complete on some of your beliefs. But keep sharing what you're getting, you guys, and keep helping out here so she can see what's going on. So we know unlovable. Now what about I don't feel listened to, I'm confused? Why would somebody not listen to you? What must be the problem with you that you're not listened to? Why are you confused? It's probably something like, because I thought he loved me, or because I thought, you know, like I thought I was good. I thought I was this little girl, you know, some ideal was shattered in that moment. That's when you developed some negative belief about yourself. So you just have to slow down and get honest. How did I feel in that moment? Disgusting? Untrustworthy? Like it could be anything. And let me see if I can get you live. Whoops. She might be typing. Okay, I don't remember what else I was thinking at the time. That's okay, it's in there. It's in there. So you could look at, he doesn't care about me. What would that mean about you, that somebody doesn't even care about you, doesn't listen to you, isn't there for you? There's a big one here called, when people aren't there for you, I'm not supported. Unsupported, or it wouldn't be I have no support, but it's I'm not supported. So I want you to get this, you guys, and everybody can chat in, because I want to see mastery here. So we know if you feel unlovable, it's a belief I'm not lovable. So what are some other beliefs that are possibilities here that would be I statements? What does it mean about you that no one can hear you? You don't have what you need. You're hurt and you're scared. What does it mean about you that you're in that position? What would you make up about yourself? And you can also ask, why do I care? Why do I care that he doesn't care? It's always a statement about me. Okay, so let's hear some ideas from you guys. One that I hear definitely is I'm out of control. I hear I'm not safe, and why you would be scared. What else? What are your guys' ideas when you don't feel listened to? This can be for any of you. When you don't feel listened to, you don't feel like people care. You don't feel like you have what you need or that people are there for you. What are some of the things that you make up about yourself in your life? Okay, so one comment, I don't have anything to offer. Good, so what? Why do you care that you don't have anything to offer? Why do you need something to offer? What's the I statement? What's the I statement? I don't have anything to offer. Why do you need something to offer? Good, I'm useless, I'm meaningless, I'm not good enough. Those, you guys are right. Those could be them. Good, and another comment here, when I don't feel like I'm listened to, I must be less than of a person. So you're right on, I'm not enough. I'm broken. I'm deficient. There could be different words, right? But it's I'm less than a human. I'm a defective human, right? I'm a broken human. I'm a stupid human. Okay, so you guys are getting it. Good. So All right, so real quick, I want to teach you that your way of being comes from the future that you're living into. Okay, your way of being comes from the future you're living into. So what must be in your future? I know one of you knows. Allie, what's the answer? What must you be projecting into your future to have this way of being come from all of this? Yeah, more of the same. Good job. And you could call it the past trauma. We think it's all the events, but it's not. It's all the drama around the events. Okay, that then create these ongoing ways of being and behavior and coping patterns. And look at these. This is not helpful. Doing nothing is literally creating the results you're trying to get out of, the results that you have in the trauma. Blaming others for the discomfort. There's no action there. Being self-destructive. We so resonate with that, right? I could say all people who are stuck in trauma and dealing with traumatic symptoms or post-traumatic symptoms are being self-destructive in some way. There's no way not to. All behavior makes sense in context. It's not more to be ashamed of, right? Notice how when I even say that, you kind of want to go back into these. I know better and I shouldn't, and now I feel bad. Okay, no. So who we're being right now in this cycle is based on the future we're living into, which is more of the same. So to know what your almost certain future is, you look at what you're experiencing right now. This is not going to change. So there's a formula, and I'm just going to give it to you guys and ask who you would be being, okay? So you want to really come from the future that you're committed to. If you could have the future that you really want, imagine it for a moment. Okay, who would you be being? Who would you be being when the trauma is resolved? Who would you be being when you can have the type of financial security that you want? Who would you be being when you have and create healthy relationships that nourish and sustain you? Who would you get to be when the triggers are gone? Who would you get to be when you heal others? When you teach this work to others and you heal them? Who would you get to be living in abundance? Living in serenity or tranquility or peace, happiness, knowing that you're going to be okay? Who would you get to be if you could create cool things? Like events to inspire others, like businesses, like your own business, like something. Who would you get to be when everyone works together to create win-wins? Who would you get to be when you're healthy, when you're fit, when you don't struggle with the coping tools? Who would you get to be when you have the life you really want? I want to hear from you. Type it in the chat box. Who would you get to be? And Jen, if you want to come on board, since you did this way of being, struggling, disconnected, victim, stuck, discouraged, I'd love to hear from you who you would get to be if you want to come on live.
Okay, I unmuted. Is that okay?
Yep, that's great.
I'm writing down all your questions as you're asking them, and in the end, who I get to be is the healer that I know others need and want me to be. I get to be the mom who's present for her kids all the time. I get to be my authentic, happy, joyous self.
Love it. So are you present to, when these root causes are addressed, this is who you'd be? This is who you get to be in this kind of future. Is that real for you?
In spurts.
Okay, so what's there if it's not real yet? Let's say if you weren't struggling, disconnected, victim, stuck, discouraged, you weren't doing nothing, blaming others for your discomfort, or doing anything self-destructive, would these show up?
Yes, these would show up.
Good. Okay, good. And if you were being present, happy, joyful, authentic, what kind of behaviors would you be taking if you already had the future that you want? In that life, what behaviors would you be taking?
I don't know. I got stumped. This is where I get stumped. I shut down and I get stumped because of all those other mucky stuff.
Good. So notice, you guys don't know that it's possible because you don't live in it. I've done the work, Elizabeth, like you heard from her, this is gone for her. So as she did this work, she was like, wow, I just see it everywhere in my life. And yeah, and all the stuff opens up because it's like easy. So just get the impact of like, you're not going to be able to create this and sustain this without getting the muck out. Okay. But for the sake of now, right, and creating a new future, if all the muck wasn't there and you already had the freedom to create what you want, what would you be doing? What would you be doing in that life? What will you be doing once you have achieved your goals? How does a present, happy, joyful, authentic woman show up in her life? What does she do? And you guys can help. You can help Jen, by the way. When you're in the spotlight, you're usually the last to see it. So if you were present, if you were happy, if you were joyful, if you were authentic, what would you be doing in life? What would you be doing in work? What would you be doing with your kids? How would you be taking care of yourself? If you were healing other people and being a great mom, what would you be doing?
Is it okay if I still chime in?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
For myself, I would see myself as being more engaging and wanting to be engaging with my kids. And we would be exploring more of different places. We would be traveling more. We would be visiting family. I would be exercising. I would be eating better. I would be eating healthier for me, and I'd be teaching my kids how to eat healthy and how to take care of themselves. I'd have these wonderful clients where each one, as they come in, they're getting better. They're getting healthier. They're feeling more of what I want to feel, which is that happy, joyous, and free of the muck, that garbage that holds us back. I'd be able to have my debt paid off, and for me and my kids, we'd have that brand new car that I didn't have to worry about breaking down. We'd be living in a house that would be ours, and we can create it to be ours. We can make our own space in the house. We'd be living in a community with like-minded people where, hey, I'm going to go knock on the door of my neighbor and say, hey, you want to come over for a cup of coffee? Or, hey, let's have a barbecue tonight on a whim, and we make it happen. we'd be sharing each other's kids and knowing that we're in a safe place. Our kids can bounce from house to house and it's okay because everything that the kids need, they're being provided in everybody's home. Electronics wouldn't distract us anymore. We would be enjoying more of nature. We'd be enjoying more of people and places like it used to be.
Love it. And what are you present to as you really look at what's possible for you in the absence of all the muck and the current cycle you're in? Because something changed in your voice, right? And when you got present to it, it kept going, and it was really exciting and really enrolling, and we could see that, yeah, gosh, if you're engaging and you're like going gung-ho in your business and you're connecting and you're, you know, being all of these things in every area of your life, you would pay off your debt. Then you would be able to meet some of your other goals, which would make you more present, happy, joyful, authentic, free, and safe. So what are you experiencing when you get connected to a new future?
I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling joyful. I feel free of the shit.
Okay, now that's what it gets to be like when you're living into a new future, because you have a new paradigm. You have a new belief cycle or system. This is your new default on the other side of changing those core beliefs. Without it, this is a great conscious conversation. It brought so much to light that you're probably never going to see things the same from this conversation. You're going to start noticing your old patterns, and you'll have an opportunity to choose something different. But can a person who's struggling, disconnected, victim, stuck, and discouraged, who's doing nothing, blaming others for their discomfort, and is being self-destructive, experience this or have this?
Heck no. It gets in the way.
Absolutely. So this is literally what is in the way, by the way, that is designed to prove the belief true. When we say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and your belief creates emotion, creates thoughts, creates being, creates behavior that's designed to prove this true, you've witnessed that. And Jen, thanks for sharing, because it even took something to get you just in the imagination of what it's like once all this is gone, because immediately you went back to the belief, but I can't have that. But this is where I get stuck. But this is why I'm stuck, right? So to really create a new future, you really have got to create a new way of being and take actions based on the future you really want, which is to be willing to dive in and address all these root causes. So I want to hear from a few others of you guys. Whoops, and now the chat box is gone. Somebody chat at me. What are the ways of being that you see possible for yourself in a future that you want, in a future where none of this stuff is there? You're not in the same cycle you've been in since age 6. And chat at me one more time. Just say something, even if it's hi, because I have a glitch, so I can't click on the chat box. I might be able to share. Let's see. I'm gonna just try resharing. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what's possible? What are some ways of being that open up for you guys inside of a new future? And the other thing too, Jen, you can share, what are you discovering about how the brain works? Okay, good. So we've got some questions coming in. So how many beliefs do people have typically? Do you have to go through each memory and make a list for each, or just a few main events that create beliefs that we need to explore? That's a great question. So you guys have dozens of beliefs. Most people have in between 8 and 12 that are actively causing what they're experiencing. So we like to call those the critical beliefs. We go after those first because they're the ones that are the most triggering and causing the most problems, the most discomfort. They're kind of like the main ones. But then you want to go, I mean, you don't want to leave any negative belief in your life because it's impacting you in areas that are hidden from your view. So it's like you don't even know what you don't know. So you can't really fix any of this if you don't even know what you don't know is causing the problem. It's totally out of the blind spot. So, so what we find is that there's core memories. There's usually a few, and they're usually the same. You don't have to go and relive everything. It's not like re-traumatizing. We do address some memories in the belief, but the memories aren't where it's at. The events aren't where it's at. So really sticking to the belief, it will change how you view every memory in the past that belief was connected to. And usually they're the same. So you feel better about the past trauma. And then as future beliefs come along, it's like, oh yeah, it's that memory again. I know how to deal with this. So we've had people switch beliefs in like 5 to 10 minutes. It's nuts. Your whole life changes in 5 to 10 minutes. It can. Sometimes it takes longer. Okay, another good question. How does this relate to inner child or critical parent internal dialogues? So the inner critic and parenting yourself, or those dialogues, like the voice in your head, that's that part of the mind, that 72-hour piece, that's that machine. So that's all of that you can listen to help you figure out what your beliefs are. I've got a great masterclass on that called Mastering the Mind, where we dive into a lot about that part of the brain. And you will definitely see things differently. But, you know, parent yourself, you know, that's good. But again, if you're doing that, it's all conscious. It's not changing anything in the subconscious. And it's certainly not addressing these beliefs. So we definitely promote personal responsibility and having self-awareness around what's going on and what you're thinking and what you're feeling, so that you can address the root cause. You can see the pattern and never see. Jen now is going to see struggling, disconnected, victim, stuck, discouraged. Oh my gosh, I'm doing nothing. I'm blaming others. I'm being self-destructive right now. She's going to see that like she's never seen it before from just this workshop. And she's actually committed to herself to do this work. And so she's going to go through these beliefs, and then these are just going to, you know, go away. They're not going to be her regular pattern. So does that make sense on inner child, critical parent? A lot of people who do inner child work, it's all a Band-Aid. It's not dealing with the root cause. When you deal with the root cause, the critical parent and inner child stuff, that dialogue will just change, because it's all this is what's at the core of it. Okay, so good question. Are there critical beliefs and then others that are less active? So that's a good way to say it. We like to always find the most powerful, or the ones that are causing the most problems, and do those first. So that's where you see the most results, and then you're able to just complete the others. And like Elizabeth, she got so much freed up that she like forgot to do her beliefs, her belief switches. So now as life brings up a trigger for her, she's like, oh, I'm going to go find that one. Like, it's no big deal, but she's already so empowered just from doing a handful of beliefs. She hasn't even fixed all of her critical beliefs, but she's already so freed up. And this work is so easy for her, as you guys saw. Good, let's keep going through questions. What is possible when the crippling core beliefs are changed? Boundless creativity, clothing designed and sewn, music composed and performed, biography and poetry written, Quilts made that look like the pattern of fields seen below the airplane out the window. Wild mushrooms identified and cooked into savory sauces. Hiking in New Zealand, joining the songbirds' dawn chorus. Wow, that's great. That's great. So I want you guys to create a future. That's part of your homework of this particular course. That you can send me and we'll talk. I'm happy to support you, is create a new future and get really crystal clear, just like what I just read. What is actually possible? What is that life that you want? Who would you be being? And start making decisions from there. Okay, so let's come back to inner child critical parent. Her follow-up question, just to see if that was clear. It isn't quite what I have learned / experienced, but it might be something for another conversation. No, that's okay. So here's the thing. You've seen people that have done all that work. I've done all that work. It doesn't mean nothing happens, right? Affirmations are great. And they don't change this, you know? Like they don't solve the problem I really need to be solved with what I'm struggling with. And there's a ton of different things. In fact, if your root cause, you know, we need to do some inner child work, we're going to do some inner child work. But you can't do that on top of these beliefs. So what I'm saying in the context of this workshop is that none of the inner child work or critical parent internal dialogues have changed any of the core beliefs that create the patterns that we're talking about, and the patterns that you're struggling with, and the patterns that have you here. If it worked, you wouldn't be here. If it worked, you wouldn't be struggling. If it worked, you would know exactly what the root cause was and how that addressed the root cause. There would be no lack of clarity. You would just be living in the life that you want with total freedom, ease, everything we're talking about. You would be free, playful, present, powerful, excited about life. There would be nothing stopping you. You would just be getting outside of your comfort zone. You would not be struggling with the same patterns you've been struggling with for a long time. So that's where this work is like anything that you do on the surface or on the conscious level, we have to actually get it into the subconscious and specifically into the part of your brain where you house beliefs. Look, people have said they've experienced some results from EMDR. People have said they've experienced some results from personal development, from Tony Robbins, from Joe Dispenza, from Brene Brown, from psychotherapy, from supplements, from affirmations and positive thinking, and oh my gosh, like emotional release techniques and, you know, tapping and, you know, they're like neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, guys, I did all that. Most of the people we work with have already done all that. What you're struggling with is here. And if you have not changed these core beliefs specifically, then the negative beliefs are running the show. So, you know, we've worked with, you know, thousands of people over 10, 11 years. And what we've experienced is that their inner child work just changes when they do this process. They're a whole being. There's no little child or inner child to do work on. That's all healed. So I love your question because it really brings out, you know, like you can't put a Band-Aid on something that really needs to change these beliefs. Shadow work doesn't change these beliefs. These beliefs are running the show. They create every emotion and thought and way of being and choice of behavior. You have to address this in the subconscious to be able to change your patterns and to change your view and to have a permanent shift in your mind that you don't have to keep doing all this other work with. Good. So another question, thinking more about this memory. I think maybe another belief is he didn't listen to me because I'm faking not telling the truth. Good, yeah, you probably made up I'm fake or dishonest. Emotions aren't real. Yep, so it's never about something else, but maybe it could be I'm not real. That might be a unique one that you have, is that you don't take yourself, like you don't believe you're real, or that like reality is real. Good. Is there a more clear way to phrase that? What belief would that fit into? Good, I answered that. I think this belief causes me to disconnect from my own feelings. Oh, that's what I just said. And makes it hard for me to empathize with my kids / other people's feelings. Yes, that would make sense, of course. That's so cool. I didn't read your whole comment. But yeah, nothing's real. It's all fake. It's all a facade. And it'll show up everywhere. So yeah. You know, that as a little kid was like destroying that you exist, destroying that you're real. And then it would show up everywhere. So really good job. I know you were struggling with how to make those beliefs about you, but you really are getting it and thinking correctly. Great job. Great job. Okay, you guys. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask as they come up. I'm going to wrap up the course because there's some important things I need to say. And then I'll check in one more time for questions, and then we'll get you guys on your way. So look, everybody is focusing on fixing the symptoms, as I've talked about, not the cause of the problem. And you don't need all those Band-Aids and coping tools and, you know, therapies and whatever to talk about it for 10 years. You really can replace it with one process that gets to the root cause and removes the triggers, removes the negative emotions, gets rid of the repeating memories and the thoughts that go round and round in your head, that stop nightmares and insomnia, that stop those fears and those doubts that ruin relationships. All of it can really disappear. But if you follow the conventional wisdom and you don't address the root cause and you get this wrong, here's what's going to happen. You will need to keep applying those Band-Aid approaches for the rest of your life. You will keep getting wiped out by those triggers and those patterns, and you'll feel tired and run down from trying to outrun the pattern, outrun the effects of the trauma. You will always have a different version of the issues you're dealing with right now. You will sacrifice your ultimate dreams and goals because you'll be operating in a compromised state, not just physically, not just mentally, but emotionally, and it will continue to sabotage your efforts. You'll live in fear and disappointment from knowing that any short-term results you may get will wear off, and the trauma or the pattern will just catch up to you again. And that's why you're on this call, because, excuse my kind of language, but that's not fucking good enough. It's not good enough to give your life away to your past, or to settle for less, or to make up that you don't deserve it. So the new way is to release those emotions by switching those core beliefs, which eliminates the triggers and the cause of the triggers. And that's it. Then you just step into living a new life. So we're the only company in the world that permanently rewires the brain using this process. There's a lot out there. We've pulled from a lot of different techniques and a ton of brain research and science, and we've taken thousands of individuals through and refined the process over and over and over and over again so that we know with crystal clarity that it works. And it works right the first time. So if you get this right and you get to the root cause, here's the future that's available to you. Remember the you before the trauma? So think back to a time, for some of you way back, when life was just bliss and play. You didn't have any of this, you just existed. You woke up with energy ready to go in the day. You never second-guessed yourself or your experiences. You had an open heart and a mind of curiosity and childlike wonder, and then something happened. That event happened, and it felt like something broke or shut off or was stolen from you. Your world changed. So what's possible when you get this right is you get to be the you pre-trauma, like free, whole, confident, playful, fun, living in childlike wonder every day. If you knew how to do this process I just taught you, you would already have the results you want. If you were already addressing the root causes, you wouldn't have symptoms. That's how we know it hasn't been addressed. Because these changes required to take place here are on a deep subconscious level and they're hidden from your view, there's no way for you to make these lasting changes without learning and following the proven system to rewire and heal your brain and your body. So having the self-awareness is huge. You guys will never see the things the same from this workshop, and watch it again, because you're going to see your patterns and you can't unsee them. But you don't want to be stuck with those patterns forever. So with the right mentor, you cut out dealing with all the unnecessary crap, spending money and time and energy, taking a chance on the next healing modality, the next tool, the next book that sounds so great, the next seminar somebody said that worked for them, you know, the next therapist over the next 10 years, hoping it works, hoping somehow it's addressing the root cause. When you get results from proper mentoring, you save not only being stuck in the vicious cycle, using Band-Aids that only provide short-term relief, but you actually start producing real results now. See, this isn't informative. You actually have to switch the belief to feel better. This isn't something I can say and maybe you'll think about it for a few minutes, you know, and maybe you'll recall it in a couple weeks and see if it works. You actually produce real results the moment you address the root cause. So you eliminate your triggers. Our clients actually get really excited when they get triggered. That sounds crazy because they know that it's the last time they're going to have that trigger, because they know how to get to the root cause. And when they get to the root cause of that one trigger, it affects so many other areas of life that they didn't even realize were being impacted. So you eliminate the pain of the past. You step into the life you want now and now and now and now and now. And you feel it from the inside out. That means waking up and knowing you have total control of yourself and power of yourself in your life. Waking up happy to be you, happy to be alive, grateful for everything in your life, even your past. Knowing who you are, liking who you are. That's what you heard Elizabeth say today. Not wanting to live in anyone else's life. Knowing you're going to be okay no matter what. Feeling taken care of. Having a full tank, not running on empty all the time. Never having to live run down and overwhelmed. Creating intimate relationships to be full of love and passion and play. Celebrating how you achieve your goals every single day, how you actually won, not how you struggled with the same cycle. Spending time on what's important instead of being checked out by your triggers or from your triggers to avoid your triggers. Feeling confident, feeling peaceful, feeling happy in your own body and mind. So what you need to win is operating with 100% responsibility, getting that you are creating and perpetuating the cycle. Now you can actually see how and how your behaviors have made sense. It's not like they're your fault, but now you can be responsible and get that power back. You can remove the emotional triggers that happen automatically from those beliefs. You can switch those beliefs. And you do need to invest in mentoring. These 5 shifts alone are enough to eliminate the pain of the past forever. So you really do have a choice. You can either take the information I've given you and you can forget all about it and you can keep on struggling in all the ways that you try to cope. Manage not to lose it every day, keep buying the books, going to the seminars, going to therapy, using those temporary fixes. All the while you slip back into those old habits. You feel anxious, you feel on edge, or you feel depressed. You don't have energy or motivation to do what you really want. Or you get sideswiped by triggers that come and go as they please. You're not in control of them. Or if you're really sick of that and you want to step into an entirely new trauma-free life, unlock your full potential, have energy and peace all day, every day, so that you can just do what your heart's passions are, that everyone in your life can sense and feel a new confidence pouring out of you every single minute. Like what happened to you? You're a whole new person. I want that. If that's what you want, then here's what I have. My team and I have actually set aside some time this week to speak with you personally. So we give free breakthrough calls, and whatever your biggest challenges are, We've seen it, we know how to overcome it, and that's what we get to talk to you about. So on that call, we'll actually work with you to craft a step-by-step plan to eliminate these triggers and to figure out what's going on and what's not working and what you need to do to fix it for that permanent fix. And also create a life you love by design. Like, get really crystal clear. You should be really crystal clear on the life that you really, really want. And unfortunately, in these beliefs, you guys have broken believers and you don't even think it's possible. So you've given up, you're resigned on what you really want. But it's in there. And who we work with are those that aren't willing to give up on that future. It is absolutely free. So it's not for everyone. Who this is for is you must be open-minded and willing to approach this from a totally new perspective and a conventional wisdom. You must have a really big why. Something or someone worth living for. That's that future that you are not willing to give up on, or that you want to resurrect for yourself. Maybe you don't know how you can get it, but you are willing to try. You must be no longer willing to suffer the way that you have and be ready to change this now. If that's you, I'm going to share my booking link. Let me see if I can put it up on the whiteboard. It's Healing Trauma Now //apply. Let me see if I can get it up on the whiteboard. What that's going to take you to is my calendar. And then after you schedule a time, it's going to take you to a short application form where I'm going to get a little bit more information on what your goals are and what you're struggling with and all of that. So fill it out. It's a really short application. It's like a page. So here you go. Hopefully you guys can see my whiteboard. healingtraumanow.com/apply. Okay, so I do have limited spots and I'm always opening up more. So if you don't see something that works for you, private message me or comment on the video if you're watching the recording. Okay, you might ask why we do these free calls and free workshops. We do it because we love giving people themselves and their lives back. Plain and simple. We love setting people back on fire to go fulfill their purpose, their dreams, be who they are. Plus, we know that you might want our help in switching these beliefs because that's really what's needed if you're genuinely stuck in these patterns and you need them to change. Okay, so we'll discuss and we'll see if it's a good fit. If you do want to work with us, if not, that's fine. We don't take on anybody that we can't heal and that we know we can't help. So either way, it's a life transforming call. We have people tell us it's the most life transforming call they've ever had, whether they work with us or not. So it's definitely a value and I'm happy to support you. So that's my booking link. I'm going to look at and see if you guys have some other questions. I also had some testimonials, but due to time, I'm just going to refer you guys to our free Facebook support group where we've got a lot of other video courses and where I will be posting more workshops to dive into the different root causes that have to be addressed if you've tried everything and it's not worked. So there's going to be more information there. There's a whole section on testimonials. So find that section. If you can't find it, find it. I think there's over 100 testimonials just from the last couple months since we started posting in the group. And it's people all the time talking about what they're getting from their belief work. So one that comes to mind, I'll just read hers instead of reading all of them. But today I worked on completing a new unfinished belief. I thought it was interesting the way my brain circled around to the actual cause of my feeling not perfect. I could definitely feel when I found the reason that I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel good and pure. I didn't feel worthy and valuable. It was all because I felt that I'm not perfect. I have felt that I need to be in order to earn my place in the world. What a relief to finally understand and accept that no one's perfect and that I belong in the world just because I exist, just as I am. I don't have to earn anything. Now I can relax and take the energy I used to spend on trying to be enough to do something creative and constructive with and for myself. So that's after one belief switch call. She got all of that. So Anyway, look through. It's very inspiring to see the testimonials. And sometimes I read through just because I love seeing what people get. Okay, so let me try to get back to your questions here. We'll get wrapped up. Okay. Okay, good. So some of the comments, I think this probably is the biggest one for me. Some of the others you suggested do seem to ring true, but this one feels stronger, more widespread impact. Good. So great job. When you get to what like the most important belief is for you in an event or when you're triggered, you can use what I walked you guys through today. Anytime you feel triggered, you should be conditioning yourself to think, what's the root cause of this? What is the belief that's running the show? Oh, how old is that? Oh, wow, where else does that show up in my life? So that you can have some self-awareness around it and know what work you need to do and know exactly why you get triggered, right? And know what needs to change. So when you internally have that experience, like I just read, that's the biggest one for me. This one feels stronger and like it has a widespread impact. That's probably what you would work on first. Like that's how you know it's on, you know the answer on the inside of you. It's not something I'm telling you. It's like your own brain. Okay, another question. I do a lot of muscle testing for supplements and herbs. Can I muscle test to figure out my beliefs? Like which phrasing out of a few choices is more accurate? I'm not worthy versus I'm not good enough, for example. Yes, you can. That absolutely works. And you can also, for everybody else listening who may not know muscle testing or know that modality, you can also just slow down and like get honest with yourself and feel it. We always go by the feelings because that's what's in your subconscious and in your body. What phrase is more accurate? Like what stings the most or what resonates the most? So muscle testing is great and you can use that. And also, you know, you can get there by being honest with yourself. And feel free to reach out in our Facebook support group. I'm here for you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this work in so many ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, all the ways. And so I'm here for you. Like I've walked this journey myself, and there's something very unique about understanding, you know, this isn't conceptual for me. I've lived this. So I'm not just here for you as an expert and a professional, but I'm also here for you with my heart because I get it and I've been there and I know how to help you navigate this. So if you do have questions, just send them to me in the Facebook group. You know, we go on Q&A lives and all that sort of stuff. So that's a great place just to ask if you need help or help getting clarity on something. That's what we're here for. All right. So share with me real quick before we wrap up. If there's any more questions, you can post those too, but I want to hear, what have you discovered newly for yourself today that you never saw before? What are your takeaways? What are you getting out of this course? What's possible for your future? Just share whatever's on your heart to share. I'm going to read them out loud because we learn so much from our peers, and it also helps us to reinforce what we learned and what we're walking away from, help cement that a little bit, and help feed off each other, help contribute to each other about what we're doing. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Share with me what you got, and then we'll wrap up. First comment here, how this one belief explains why I feel broken and disconnected from my inner self and other people. Yay, good. It's absolutely that. And you probably do have a belief that you're broken too. Absolutely. So that's the root, and it's not real. It's just, it's like, it's what we see, think, and feel is real, but it's just something that we made up when we were really little, and then we live our whole lives like that's true. So I'm excited for the opportunity to work with those of you who are committed to this work, because gosh, there's just so much relief that comes from healing those past memories as a side effect. of dealing with the real belief. And then, oh my gosh, like we have people come back, we say to write down your changes and schedule a date with yourself 1 week later, so you can see your changes and see what's shown up different in life. And oh my gosh, I mean, the things that people say after 1 week or 1 day of like, oh my God, like the broken feeling is gone, or I haven't felt peace in, 55 years. I finally feel peace, or I finally feel relief, and they don't ever look back to that, or gosh, for the first time, I felt like I could connect to people and I was present and I could feel their love, or for the first time, like I went and visited my mom, which has always triggered me for 25 years. And I wasn't triggered. I was able to appreciate her, or I was able to keep myself healthy, or, it's just amazing the freedom that comes when you're not in that cycle. So that's a great share. So let's hear from Allie, Jen, Jennifer. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. What are you getting and walking away with? Okay, good. Yep. Go get dinner for your kids, and you're welcome so much for the class. All right, great. All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. Looking forward to speaking to you soon. Another comment, I can see why, because of those core beliefs, those powerful unconscious emotional responses, I overreact to threats and criticism and can't fix it by saying I know how illogical it is to be that angry at someone who's cognitively impaired. So good. So good. And what you've really pulled out is how our perception is we see threats and we see criticism, but we take it as a personal attack because it uncovers and exposes those things we like to stay buried and we're trying to fix and we don't accept in ourselves and that are negative, that we believe about us. That's how we see the world around us. And there's nothing cognitively that we can do to stop that process. You've got to get that core belief switched, and then that cognitive will just change. So if it's there for you, there's a subconscious belief driving it. When the subconscious belief is removed, you don't have to do cognitive work, really. Like, it's the whole conversation changes. Good. Another comment. I also see how what I know isn't enough to deal with this alone. I need a mentor, a guide. Thanks for putting these classes on Zoom. I will get back with you. Good. I'm so glad. And you do. But the cool part is, our methodology is that you don't need to rely on a mentor forever, that you can learn to do this for yourself and be totally self-sufficient. And sure, you need a community of support always. And we have that as well. But it's amazing when you can learn how to do these for yourself. That's the beauty. It's just learning the process that's proven. And being willing to get to the root cause. So thanks, guys. We're going to sign off now. Feel free to book with me, healingtraumanow.com/apply. And I look forward to taking you guys, ending the cycle you've been in, dissolving it, disappearing it, and really creating an entirely new life where you just see, think, and feel differently as a new default. And from there, anything is possible. So thank you so much. I loved teaching you. Let me know if you have any questions or need support as a follow-up to this course. And I look forward to our next workshop together. Thanks, guys.